Okay, so today's topic is about postpartum bleeding and whether or not it can start again after it stops. Okay, so let's first of all talk about what postpartum bleeding really is. Basically, after you have the baby, all of that blood that was supporting you and baby while you were pregnant is like leaving, right? That's all that excess stuff that you don't necessarily need anymore. So it's leaving, and typically you will bleed heavy for about 10 days after you have the baby, right? That's a lot. So after the 10 days, um you still keep bleeding, but it's light bleeding or it's like spotting for about a couple weeks. What maybe 3 to 6 weeks you will bleed. But it's not as heavy. And then, I also want to note that everybody's experience is different. So I can't sit here and say everybody bleeds for these many days, for these many weeks. Everybody is different. Your pregnancy is different from somebody else's pregnancy. Um, your body's different, so you may bleed differently. But typically, you bleed heavy for 10 days, and then after that, um, for the next few weeks, you will bleed lightly, or it will be spotting, right? And so once that bleeding is done, you typically have your period. Now, I do not think that postpartum bleeding happens all over again. Because if that's the case, then there may be something wrong. Because if once you start bleeding again, that should be your first period after pregnancy, as far as I'm concerned. That should be your first period after pregnancy. But postpartum bleeding is definitely not sorry. It's definitely not supposed to happen after you've already experienced that. So like I said, if you're bleeding really, really heavy, you should probably go to the doctor. That's what I would recommend, because postpartum bleeding should only happen, like I said, the first like 10 days. That's when you should be bleeding the heaviest. And then after that, it should get lighter and lighter to where it stops. And then you would get your period again. Unless you end up being pregnant again, then you won't get it. And some people still get their period while they're pregnant. So either way, it shouldn't be as heavy as postpartum bleeding. You should just have your regular period. So my answer to that question, can postpartum bleeding start again after it stops? I would say no. And if it does, you should go see the doctor, because then something may not be right. It could not be your period. It could be something else going on. That's how I think that works from my perspective. So, like I said, any bleeding after your postpartum bleeding should be your period. And if there's anything besides that, if you feel like it's like big blood clots, or it's bleeding really heavily nonstop, or anything that may seem, if you're waking up in a bed of blood or something, then you should go to the doctor. Definitely go to the doctor. Don't wait. That's my opinion. Do not wait. So, if you have any other questions based off of postpartum bleeding, any comments, concerns, statements, any disagreements with what I said, please drop it below so I can see them. Okay? I'm open to all opinions. I want to hear it, because like I always say, I am open to the conversation. I love the conversations. Let's have it, because everybody's experience is different. If you want to tell your experience to help another mom, down below in the comments, do that, because we all need help. We all need love. We all need support. So drop it down below. Yeah. So if you have my Instagram, my Facebook, I have a Snapchat. Also, visit my website at hertrueimage.com, where you can find my doula services, my fitness programs, and also more videos like these. So thank you so much for joining. Remember to love yourself first and put yourself at the top of your priority list, because if you don't love you, who else will, you know? I don't know if that was really what I was trying to say, but make sure you love yourself first, because that's important. And I'll be back with another video soon. Peace out.